Check one. Uh-oh. James. All right, there we go. What's up, guys? We're doing a little late lunch tech talk today. It was James's birthday. What are you supposed to do? They went out to eat lunch together, him and the other guys. Everybody go except me?
Yeah, basically.
Thanks for not inviting me. Literally, thanks. Today, I thought it would be good to just instigate conversation about NDI. So we'll talk about whatever, like always. Mm-hmm. But I've been fielding some questions on NDI from several people, and actually this morning Jonathan Cooper and had put a post on CSMT, and I think I got involved in that. But then I realized, man, I'm talking offline to a lot of guys about this, and I haven't posted a video. Right. And I used to be pretty good about it. I'm still more excited than ever about NDI and its uses, especially for house of worship application. And so I got to thinking, and Jonathan and I were discussing a few things, and Michael Sanders about some limitation aspect that would be really neat for all of us to use, that's just not been developed, and that's the output side. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll talk about that. We'll talk about some of the NDI tools, how to set up an NDI network for free, essentially free if you already have a 1 gigabit infrastructure. All you need is a 1 gigabit switch, and that'll be enough to get you started. The tools you can download are for free, and then obviously if you want to get into putting your cameras in your video switcher and getting your video switcher to access the NDI network, well, that would depend on the manufacturer of that you have. And we could talk all about that, but one of the limitations was on the output side. And it's a great question. I remember Stefan Svard came through and he was looking at it, and we kind of talked offline just a little bit about potential latency issues. Okay. You know, does it really carry a good signal? How solid is this infrastructure really going to set up to last? And I think it is. But one thing he immediately noticed, and so this has been months and months ago, and we just haven't talked about it because not really a whole lot to talk about other than it's a limitation. But here are some workarounds while we're waiting for manufacturers to fire up maybe some devices that will do it. It's all about the output side. Input side's easy because if you have a switch, you take your camera to your switch, and if the switch is NDI compatible, which most manufacturers have given some kind of patch, some way to make your switcher NDI compatible, it's pretty easy. So getting the feed in, whatever that video, if it's a laptop, if it's a camera, whatever, just think of anything input, going in, converting that to NDI, and then getting that throughout the network, easy. That's just kind of the way it works. It's on the output side, so that's really kind of what I wanted to fire on today is, I don't know why manufacturers didn't see this coming, or New Tech doesn't talk a whole lot about it. Hopefully at NAB this year, we'll be able to create some really good discussion and really see where this stuff is going to go in the output side. And so imagine, if you will, like a Chromecast type device. Okay. and it hooks up to your HDMI on your TV.
And it has the power cable to like a USB port usually, right?
Yeah.
Now we got one over
Yeah,
there.
if you don't have one, let me grab one real quick.
Really simple devices. I mean, it's. You guys
I have one
if
right
you have
here.
a Fire Stick or a Roku. The
So
Roku stick's
basically, you can see this is a Chromecast device, and it just plugs in HDMI, and then we take power off the TV, the USB port, and it fires it up. And now you can go from your computer or your smartphone or whatever and throw your signal up to the Chromecast. One of the limitations, I don't know if I should keep holding it or whatever, but one of the limitations to this is it's just one-to-one. So it's one device to this device. And so if I cast this computer to this, I can't see anything from James's computer unless he casts it, and when he does, it interrupts mine.
Cuts yours.
So it's just one-to-one. And that is a different, and plus, this doesn't send a signal back to my computer. So it's a one-way, one-to-one is the best way I could describe it.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's magnetic.
Yeah, that is.
How about that? And so that's
which is simple for what, a $30,
yeah,
$40 device.
That.
Yeah.
And just so that it doesn't get off, because if I put it there, they can't see it.
Yeah.
But we're talking about the idea of casting, and so video distribution and audio as well, distribution. This is a very basic and kind of consumer idea, but distributing audio video is where it kind of starts. But we need a device like this that does two-way in the NDI world. And so this is what I'm sorry.
So two-way. So give me a use, like an example of where this could be used, like a two-way.
Okay. So
I'm still viewing this as, let me send my phone to my TV.
Yeah, right. So in the NDI world, you get your camera or whatever device, and you get it converted into NDI. Now it's in the network, and now from any other point or peer, or we call them, not us, but New Tech, the appropriate language is called nodes. So if you hear me talk about nodes, it's just a device, like a computer, like the camera.
An iPhone, anything.
An iPhone. A matter of fact, yeah, that's a good call there. Yeah. I'll fire up. So
he's got an app on his
so
phone
on
that
my
will take
phone,
his camera. And let me see if I can bring that in.
Yeah, that might not work. But right there is a app that converts the iPhone camera to an NDI signal wirelessly. So as long as I'm on the wireless network or on a wireless access point that's connected to that switch, then anything that I take from here can be inside of the NDI network. So that's sending it out. But on my computer, I can fire up a scan converter that takes whatever app that I have open or my desktop and turns it into an NDI signal.
Which I have right now, which I'll go here. You can see I'm in a Firefox
Can you do a
window.
2x? Can you like give us 2 frames so you can still see us?
Yeah.
And see the.
Get that set up 1 second.
Hold on just a second, guys. We'll do a 2. Yeah. So the front window is James's MacBook, and that is just his desktop. Yep. And there's a background layer there as well. But anyway, so you see, this is this computer right here, and you're not hardwired. No,
I'm on a
so you're on wireless.
Right now.
So he's casting. I shouldn't say casting because that could get confusing, but he's scan converting his desktop right now, and it's now an NDI signal, so it's in the ring, and anything connected can pull it. So that's kind of that two-way deal. So I can have multiple devices pulling the same signal in, which now hopefully you can understand the picture of it. It's not one-to-one. So where it's a little tricky, or not even tricky, I guess, but not fully developed, is on the output side. So we see how to get it in. So if you're on a computer, you just run the free scan converter tool that you download. James, put that link where people can get the NDI tool to download from VTech for free. And can you get the Mac stuff there too now?
Yeah.
It used to be you have to go to Sienna.
Yeah. And now
so
NewTek has their own set of tools
that's awesome.
now. So
yeah,
nice.
And I'm sure it's Sienna's tools. They just
Probably
added it. All right, so he'll post up a link where you guys can click on it, and you'll see, and whatever platform you are on, you can download the free tools. And we found that they're updating and they don't tell us. So I would go back and check your version numbers at least once a month, because the drivers are getting better, and they're adding some tools, and they may have comboed some tools. So just keep checking back on that same link, and you'll be able to see the list of what tools, what platform it offers.
Got a question for you from Daniel. With NDI being network protocol, what would be the recommended network switch or requirements? And also, what network switches do we use in our setup?
Okay, good.
So I think that would be a good discussion.
That is a great discussion, and hopefully later I'll be able to bring in our IT director, maybe not later today, but in a different discussion, and he could give us a little better understanding of what to look for. I can tell you what I know from the IT side, but remember, I'm not a network engineer. I'm just dangerous on the network. So I have to consult network guys all the time, and there's a lot of smart guys in our group that really have helped, and they know more about what the switch, the router is actually doing. But I'll tell you what I do know, and then you can go from there. We have, because we're a school campus, we like to be uniform. So we are Cisco through and through, except for this master control particular room right here, and we're about to change it. We have a Dell that's very compatible with those Ciscos. And you do not have to have a PoE type switch, but I would recommend, if you can afford to do that, to go ahead and do it. And I'll explain why later. But you don't have to have it, and this one is not. And it's a 1 gig switch. The model number on this is the Dell 6224P. It's worked well for us.
6224P?
6224P.
All right.
All one. And it's a 24 port. It's worked really well for us. It can be upgraded. It's managed. So managed is a key word in that world. But one of the very key things, and I don't know if they make switches now that are not default enabled. It's called multicasting. And even to use this Chrome guy or your Apple TV or Fire Stick, Roku, your gateway or your switch needs to have multicast enabled for a very smooth signal. It's the way it makes the large packet streaming conduct very well together. I have seen switches without multicast. They will do it, but you will get the jitter, and there's not a good free flow of video that comes across.
Right.
The audio seems to work pretty good, but the video doesn't. So I think if you go to Best Buy, all right, so I said all that to go, we also have done this on really cheap 1 gig Netgear and Linksys switches. And like a 4-port, an 8-port, we just got another 16 or 24 port Netgear.
24,
we use that in our road gear sometimes, and they've been reliable for us. They're not PoE, but we don't need it in our setup unless we add a PTZ camera. If you add a PTZ camera, then you're going to need that PoE on your switch, so that you can use the remote control stuff. But other than that, I don't think you have to spend the money to get the PoE stuff. So, did I answer those questions? Did I answer that?
Here. Yes, James
So
Anderson, have you been keeping up with SMPTE 2110? Do you think manufacturers are waiting for it to create output devices?
2110 or 22?
2110 on here, to create output devices to work with video over IP.
Well, yes, we are, but it's not within our infrastructure. So we keep up on the knowledge base. The protocol, the new protocol for SMPTE is slipping my mind. I won't waste the time. I'll figure it out in a minute. It'll hit me and I'll blurt it out. So yes, we're trying to stay on top, but really for us on our end, it's not that crucial. It is on the manufacturing side, and knowing how those guys work together just gives you advanced knowledge on how to create smooth signal. But generally speaking, even on the Netgear and the cheaper switch sides, you can create good, smooth video up to probably 8 to 10 nodes, and that is the full raster solution for NDI. So if you have a broadcast camera, you can expect that 422 level to come through and be a full raster 100 gigabit image. I'm sorry, not 100 gigabit,
wow,
100 megabit image. Sorry, to that node. So that node will represent 100 megabit, give or take a few. It's hard to really know.
Yeah.
We go by the tech specs really, but and the way it looks, and the latency seems to be just fine from a very high-end Dell type switch to a low-end Netgear Linksys $99, $150 16 port switch. I've noticed that, or I haven't noticed a latency difference. So the latency is still working well with NDI, and I think it's all about how it deals with packets. But never mind, I'm getting off a little bit. What I wanted to talk about was the output side of things. And this is a great question, and because you guys, we all, especially in the House of Worship, we're looking for cheaper solutions, more budget-friendly way to do very good things. Well, this is it. NDI represents that, but one of the missing mechanisms is the output side. So right now, and I want to show James, I don't know if you can move that camera or was this working the other day?
It was, but then you have to restart your phone because of the swiping and the button.
That's fine. Well, I'll keep it on.
All right.
Let's see if it comes in. Hold on just a second,
One
guys.
second.
Let me see if we can pull it. Yep.
All right, here we go.
All right. So you can see this camera. Now you guys are seeing James. This is from my iPhone, and I just enabled the camera on the phone to be NDI. And James, I want you to point that at me.
Okay.
So we're talking about output, right? And over here, I've just got another laptop. This is an old crummy laptop that I hooked up HDMI out to this screen here, James, this screen here. So maybe back up so you can see. I think visuals are so important. All right, sorry about the mess, guys. All right, so you download the tools, and I'm just going to fire up the monitor. So on the screen, infinite regress, yay. What I did was I turned on the monitor, and I had last set it to
the iPhone. So
no, to the program out.
Oh.
I could go pick the iPhone individually, but I had it on the program out of this particular TriCaster.
Okay.
But just say this was an output of a Panasonic device, of a Black Magic device or whatever, it's going to be converted into NDI, and then now any computer that you have a monitor tool on, you will be able to bring in that feed. So let me just see if I have something alternative. Oh, okay, I tell you what, I'll go to camera 1 and I'll switch it right here. So you see me, but look up here, and I brought in the camera that you guys were looking at us on. So I just brought it in to the computer,
crazy.
And the computer is hooked up HDMI to this device. And so I show you this to say, this is the output mechanism right now in the NDI world. So Jonathan, we were talking about, and I was pretty sure that you got the picture, that you have some type of small computer that you load the free NDI tools on, and then you put it at whatever displays. So you wanted multiple displays, what I would do is just put those computers on the network, and then telnet, remote into, show my age there, remote into each one of those computers, and then just click on, so if you can see here, I'll show you this view, you'll be able to see when I click on that, you can see all the nodes. These are all the nodes.
Yeah.
And so that node, that computer has all these nodes on them. And this computer is the desktop.
Yeah.
There's the TriCaster on the other side of the campus. So I could bring in any of their nodes.
And that replay unit at the top, that might be playing something.
Oh yeah?
So, yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah,
Oh, there you go.
So there's not playing anything, but you
yeah,
can see
it's stopped on a frame because we just did a basketball game. And that's our replay unit. So I can bring in any of those nodes to any display as long as you have a device that has a monitor. So that studio monitor, free tool, if you wanted to express that, just download it, put it on your computer, and now you have an output mechanism. Where we need to go, and I've been telling NewTek this and other manufacturers, and I've heard that there are some monitors like Samsung, not Sony, there's a couple
Panasonic,
other monitoring, Panasonic I think was one, that they are contemplating on adding the NDI monitoring tool to the firmware of their TV, and then when you plug it into your network, you'll have an option to click on your remote and bring in the node that you want to see. Now that is the solution we really all want. So that way we don't have to put a computer, I think you're standing in a dead spot,
I think
but
I am.
we don't want to have to necessarily put a device on every display. Say you have 20 TVs across your campus, kind of like we do, and we want to do digital signage. Well, you can do digital signage from one of your nodes. Have one computer, one node sending out digital signage. This is a very, very cheap way to do digital signage. And you can do it from like fire up Pro Presenter and on that computer and just create a playlist and do signage stuff. They can be video, it can be graphics, still graphics, all those kind of things. So that's where we are in the NDI world. Sorry guys, we kind of stepped away, and if you're talking to us, we didn't see it, so we'll get back to that. But yeah, I'll cut that off. So that's
What's up, Michael?
That's the way. Is that Sanders?
Yeah, of course.
And Michael's got a NDI network going at his church, so he's a good guy to talk to. He's on the front lines, making it work probably a little bit differently than we do, and man, this allows for so much creativity. And I know exactly what Jonathan was trying to do, and the big the big knock right now, and it's not a knock on NDI, it's not a knock on New Tech, it's not a knock on any particular company, other than this is a need. So we need the TVs to be able to interpret NDI. NDI is not complicated, really. It doesn't take much of, that's an old-ready laptop. And as long as the chip is right, which most are now, if you buy any laptop now, your chipset's going to be right to interpret NDI. We found a few really old chips didn't like, or the instruction list wasn't written well for that chipset. So,
so it wouldn't even
it failed.
But
I haven't found a laptop that doesn't do it yet.
Yeah.
So if you want to do output to a display, like, all right, so say we have 20 screens across our campus, we want to do digital signage, and we want to be able to just throw our live, no latency programming up. We put a mini type computer behind the TV, HDMI it, and then that's running studio monitor, and whenever we want to change, and remember, those are all isolated, so all 20 screens are isolated right now. And we can mix it up. We can put signage on some, program on the other, do a specific camera, do any device. So I always feel like I need to over-explain those points, because I understand what it feels like to not get NDI. When I was, when we were first kind of embarking on it, it was, the concept was really broad, and you go, oh, that sounds so cool. How do I do it?
Well, I know, I remember when we set it up, I was explaining it to you over the phone, what I was able to do, and I'm like, this doesn't even sound like English at times. You're just like, they just connect.
Yeah, right.
How? They do. They're on the network and they can see each other. I mean,
and so for a few months, or actually probably 6 or 7 months before we got it, I knew what it would do. I talked to the New Tech guys, and in a big cloud kind of form, I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I want. And then when you start actually using words to explain the minutia of it, you're like, wow, man, I don't know. But ask Michael, as soon as he saw it, within like just a couple minutes, as soon as he laid his eyes on it, and that's why I was trying to do the video part, so that maybe guys could see it work. And I can do any number, so if we're not hitting it right, then just type to us or whatever, and let us know
demonstrate,
how I can demonstrate that to you.
Daniel Mirasol has a good question here. Being on a school campus, how has it been working with your IT people on getting your needs for NDI and other protocols on their network? My church I work at is also on university campus, and it is hard to do anything on the network, such as live streaming. He said even though main services and chapels are live streamed. So just, I guess, how do you work with the production side with your IT department?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Because the IT department, man, they have their hands full serving up 2,300 students, and they got a lot on their plate, and things are constantly going wrong. So we kind of formed our own IT inside of our media, because we're a totally separate department. So we're media service and production here, and we have to have some IT layer just close to us. Then we liaison that to the bigger infrastructure of the campus, and those guys are great. And I'm on my third IT director right now, but he came in and he loves new technology. He gets what we're trying to do. He came from a public school system to this private institution, and totally supports and understands what we're trying to do, from our faith-based product with the house of worship style stuff to our sporting products to just in our like this particular building is a media type building, so there are 40 rooms that are all connected together, AVL, and the design on it's really, really cool infrastructurally, but we still have to get them to work with us, and we're actually going through some evolution. So they're building in new components. So it's kind of great timing for this question.
Yeah.
They're building in newer components on their side, and it has messed with us a little bit. But I get on the phone right away, and our guys they talk to us. We're one of the few people that they'll actually pick up the phone for and not say, hey, have you turned it off and on again?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
so having that working
yeah.
relationship is so vital and important to making, because we've winged off a lot of our cable, and our only direct cable lines now for distribution are only from the camera to the switch, to the actual video switch.
Yeah.
That's the only cable we have. Then everything else flies through the whole network. So we are so dependent on them not messing up our stuff. And because we have 30, I don't know if you saw it, but we have 30 to 40 nodes going at one time.
Yeah. And in those nodes can have multiple ports, but inputs and outputs.
Hey,
so you
yeah,
might
can you bring up your, so one thing I like about the way do you still have, does it look the same now? Do you have the Sienna
I have
product?
both. I have Siennas and New Tech.
That's how we
pull up
would know if
Sienna,
it's if they did
wants
their
me to
own.
update the Sienna stuff. I should probably update it first. They've always got
Yeah, but you can see right here, if you flip it to yours,
let me,
can you show them that?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I
All
gotta
right.
switch my scan.
So if he can scan convert
To the desktop.
this screen
Okay,
here,
there
and we show you.
Okay.
All right, so on the Mac side, and this is what I don't get on the PC side or the Windows side, is down here where you've got your mouse off. But you see, there are the IP addresses and the nodes. Probably don't want to show that too long, James. Matter of fact, don't show it.
All right. We'll bring that down.
It's probably too late now. Oh, well. We got a new firewall, so that's the good news. Anyway, the nodes are labeled by port numbers, so you see the address there, and each node gets assigned this port number. Well, I can't see that on the Windows New Tech software, but Sienna designed it for the Mac side, which I think they're just Mac heavy on their design, which is awesome. I'm a big Mac hater as far as Apple the company, just full disclosure there, but we have probably more Macs in this building than we do PCs, just because that's what we teach.
Yeah.
And but all of our heavy lifting is done by Windows machines. So there's a good balance that we use between the both, and I do like the way they designed the Mac OS NDI tools.
Yeah, I almost feel like they give you
Because
more
I can-
options and more details
ultimate.
at least.
Yeah, details,
That's the
info
better word.
details.
Yeah.
But they do the same exact thing. You can't do one more than the other. It's just I like the information,
Right.
so that we can like do certain ping tests and load testing, if that makes any sense, to see if ports are going to be able to handle. We're in the midst of troubleshooting a couple ports right now, so we're load testing. It works fine in a lot of other areas, and then these two wall ports, for whatever reason, are just giving us trouble. But is there any other questions? We work really close with them. You got to develop a great relationship with your IT guys, or it's going to be an uphill battle. And if you can't do that, you got to either build your own little infrastructure and manage it yourself, or just figure out a way, buy them donuts, man. I don't know. We wouldn't be able to do it without our guys. They just control the gateway to how this all
Michael
works.
just commented, what we need is an NDI routing app similar to Dante controller.
And they do have that. I just haven't worked with it a lot, and so I can't really tell you how well it works
Yeah.
or how it works. But there is a way to monitor inside of your NDI. Once you get all your nodes in there, it'll identify all your nodes, and then it gives you trouble errors if something's not going just right. So they do kind of have that. But remember, your routing part is more of a matrix than just, hey, I like the patch concept where you're taking this and going over here and you're patching. It's more like a matrix where multiples can send and receive at the same time. So this camera is an NDI node, and I could go into all my computers with NDI monitor on it, and all of them can pull that camera. So, and if you have Studio Monitor, it's got a record feature on it, so you can ISO record that from 100 different computers, really. It might be a little ridiculous, but I'm just kind of showing you that
it's theoretically
how it
possible.
would work. So your routing part is, in concept, is really on the device you're pulling it in with. And that's why I said the output is so necessary on the display device, or having a modular type small device that you can plug in HDMI, and this is the NDI monitor.
Right.
That just you either have remote control access to it or a computer access to it, and then so this is what's going to come out. It's going to come out. We don't know when. I can't tell you when, because that's just information they're not sharing right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully at NAB, we're hoping for a maybe a reveal kind of situation for more output devicing. And if you guys are at NAB, I think it's Tuesday, I'll be speaking at the New Tech booth and hanging out with those guys, talking about what we do, NDI infrastructure. And I'll be asking these questions too, Mike.
Those engineers, I imagine they'll have some engineers that
I
can
hope.
help answer.
And maybe Mr. Cross will be there and give us more future insight.
Yeah.
And really, I love the way they developed it, because it's not a New Tech proprietary type thing. You don't have to have a New Tech device to run NDI on. It's an open protocol system that more than 200 manufacturers, video manufacturers, are using out there. Dante is now able to attach itself to the or fit in the NDI pipe. So that's opening up a lot of doors for a lot of multi-channel audio. Right now it's at 16 channels, and I think we're going to see that exponentially grow because the audio doesn't take nearly as much bandwidth. And you do have to bridge it. There is a software out there that bridges it, and you guys will know it. It's Audacity.
Yeah.
Is it? No, it's not Audacity. Audacity is but something like that. Audante or something. I don't know. If you guys know it, just type it in. They have a bridge that will help create the Dante infrastructure inside of the NDI pipe. So NDI world is absolutely fascinating and awesome. There's so many creative ways you guys can use it. We use it. There are also other tools. The free tools we talked about, but from New Tech or Sienna, you can purchase, and they're moderately priced. I don't think anything's crazily priced.
Audinate?
Audinate.
That's
Thanks,
it.
man.
That's it, yeah.
Great.
Thanks, Michael.
Man, I've been troubleshooting so many other things. Like I'm trying to get refocused
Audinate.
into.
Yeah, no, it's like Audacity.
NDI.
No, Dante.
Yeah, Audinate.
Yes,
that's exactly right.
Audinate.
Look up Audinate and NDI, and you'll be able to read about that stuff. Really cool. So this is really getting down to being able, right now, the appropriate way to work with NDI is within your own LAN infrastructure. But when it gets, and it's there, but when it gets to the commoner, you really got to know IT infrastructure to be able to make it work in the WAN, and Sienna Lab has done an awesome job creating these handshakes. So they are doing London to Singapore NDI controls and monitoring, which is just mind-blowing. But once this really gets refined, and I say we're less than a year away from just great refinement to where all of us can work with this. Think about that, man. You could take this camera and broadcast it somewhere in Africa that has obviously appropriate internet supply, and you could do your switching. You could do a reswitch. You could do just the possibilities are endless, really. You could set up multiple control rooms all over the world, be able to access. One thing that I really think is going to be cool is that now, once you get the WAN up and going, a phone like this, reporters, get it on a steady stabilizer or something, and then have, there's a fire across the street, or the small news that doesn't really make
your local news.
Your big local. We're in a big market, so we're in Dallas, but not all the little news makes it. But if you're in a really small town or something, you could set up your own TV network. Basically, go out with your iPhone and start reporting news, and just connecting to an NDI server, and now you got good, decent video.
And the difference between that and just going to Facebook Live would be, what's the big difference there? It'd be the studio, or the studios being able to pull it in.
Yeah, and they can do switch.
Right?
You can do all kinds of things, like normally you're thinking of it as, hey, I'm just going to report this in good consumption. That's fine. That's got its place. Everybody, we're starting to learn to go to YouTube and Facebook, but in a news gathering format where you have an anchor, you have these things, and they call to you and they want to ask you questions, and you can put in your earbuds on your phone, talk to them, and then they can say, hey, turn. And from a news gathering type perspective, it's a game changer. So that's coming. I mean, it's really there. It's just being refined right now. So Sienna Labs, if you can participate now, it's open. We got in right before they opened it up, and so you can beta. Oh yeah, good. So
it says here you can try it free.
They've taken the beta off, so it's getting close, guys. The wide area network understanding of
this stuff's moving fast. Like you said, the beta's off. I mean,
it's been beta for probably 8 months.
How many times have we asked each other something and then we go, well, let me just check again, because you never know.
It is moving so fast, I promise. Check back with whatever your sourcing is once a month.
Oh, there's a good, this is a cool graphic right here. This one right here with the cloud global IP video network.
Post that URL in the chat, in the comments, and that'll be a good one. Yeah.
This graphic right here
that shows what I was just talking about. The global IP video network is what they're calling it, but basically it's just connecting NDI through a WAN, and I could just go on and on and on and on about it.
I mean, you can see here is an NDI source. So that's like a camera going to a TriCaster, and then that goes to this cloud for NDI node, which is like a separate device on your network, and then it goes through their cloud, and this is the part that they've worked on, and then it goes to any other, and you can see the flags here symbolizing where your individual networks.
Ryan, I just read your post. It's already there. I know you hate new tech, but and kind of rightfully so, but new tech has it, and it's the NC1. Now, it's hard. I get where you're at with them, so let's just wipe that off the table. But just listen to me. their IP infrastructure is so much different than their TriCaster stuff. And I've heard a lot of people have problems with TriCaster. We're one of the houses that just don't have problems with it. And there's a lot of guys, you know, CBS, NBC, all those guys, they do have some TriCaster infrastructure around in their mobile units. And it just takes a lot of care. So it is high maintenance and a lot of care to run the machine, but for the dollar, we get a lot more out of it. But their IP configurations are different than the TriCaster configurations. So they have one-off boxes that will take your SDI, and so it's multi-SDI, and then we'll convert those SDIs into nodes, and you just plug it into your IT switch, your ether switch. Now the Connect Spark, I have it somewhere else. The Connect Spark, I don't have a picture, but anyway, it's a device that will take HDMI and SDI, convert it to NDI, and that's been we use that in a myriad of ways. So, oh yeah, and it can fly it on your wireless, so it can contact the wireless AP and send it over. They have really worked on that. That's a 25 megabit signal. Yeah. That's pretty amazing what it does. Right. And
oh, look at this! Add Spark to gaming. Wow, look at that! They've updated the page there.
Oh man, and we've been doing a little bit of that with OBS and anyway, I don't want to get off that. But we did a blind test of people that came in, looked at the TriCaster monitor between wireless camera signal and the SDI. So we took out of the SDI, the same camera, the camera you're looking at me on, SDI out into the TriCaster switch. So it's an SDI hardline.
Like all of us do with cameras.
Then we went HDMI out to the Spark, to this guy, and use the NDI HX driver, which is a 25 megabit, and put that on the screen. So they were sitting side by side, and more people picked the wireless signal than they did the SDI signal, if that tells you anything. Now, we were biased because we knew what was there, so it was hard for us to make a determination. But it was so close. Yeah. I think it got a little oversaturated, so I don't know what they were doing in the mechanics of the driver stuff, but we knew what we were looking for, so it wasn't fair for us to do the blind test because it wasn't blind. But when we pulled people in, said which signal do you like the best? Do you think is better? More of them picked the wireless signal. Dude, it's a legit product. That's one way to get your SDI or HDMI into the network. NDI infrastructure.
And then the other way is the NC1, right?
The NC1, yeah. So if you go to there and look at their IP configuration stuff, modules, the Studio I/O modules, look at the NC1, and they have them in 4 and 8.
Yeah, they got a few different. They got a few different models.
Oh yeah, and now the NC stuff is doing 4K. Oh, that's pretty ridiculous.
Which is good. All over the network. Yeah, right there.
At 60p. 4K at 60p.
Wow.
So,
and RTMP, of course. Nice. And here they're showing some sports.
How many I/O counts do you want, Ryan?
Yeah, that's an important question.
Because they're modular. You just stack. So the new infrastructure for building an NDI total switch net infrastructure, if I said that right, hopefully you know what I mean. The new way to do it is build it from the ground up, and now it's all modular. So you can just keep stacking, like say those 8 input modules on top of each other, and they do the conversion process. That's what the box is for. And then you actually take that into your switch. So in their world, I think it's the TC1 or the Studio Master. I forget what they call it. But so if you stayed in the NewTek world, you would have the NewTek Master box, the switching box, but that would be separate than your SDI to NDI modules. Those modules are just sending the NDI nodes to the switching box. Now making the switching box so much more efficient, and that's part of, TriCasters have been asked to do so much work. So now I like this little bit of a change to a modular approach. I do like the all-in-one box. I mean, it's worked great for us.
Right.
But now that you can build different nodes into NDI, so different hardline nodes into NDI nodes, I love the modular concept.
Right. Yeah, James said the camera needs to have NDI out on it.
I agree,
SDI
and it's
to
coming.
NDI product.
Well, it's already there. So it's on PTZ cameras. PTZ Optics is another good resource. Those guys, they kind of like switched gears and gone all NDI in their knowledge base. They run a YouTube show. So if you guys are looking for good other information, PTZ Optics. They have a tech show, they do, but they talk about NDI every day, I think.
Yeah.
And they developed a camera. I think the first camera, and then NewTek maybe somehow collaborated with them. I don't know. But
camera,
now you have the NewTek camera but you need PoE for it to run the PTZ part.
And I think you'd want it, right?
But it's got NDI out, so you connect it to the ether straight out of the camera. Panasonic prototyped a NDI out camera last year, and so hopefully at NAB we'll be able to see how much more development they put onto that.
Yeah. You can see here, this is the NDI PTZ camera. And there's just
that's
NDI,
the hardware.
And that's it right there. It's just an Ethernet cable, and that handles the power, controls, everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good camera.
It has everything else, looks like.
And there is another camera that's just like that.
out,
I don't know what it's
DC,
called,
12
but
volt.
I've heard people working with it and they like it.
Yeah. I mean, it's really tough to beat one cable running for a camera. And let me see what the tech specs are.
But like I said, if for right now, the
1080p
Spark
60,
is doing the trick, because we put the Spark on the camera, go out of the camera into the Spark, and now the Spark's connected to the network. And I've turned any camera, any situation where I have an Ethernet plug-in on our campus to be able to get into our NDI. So that broadcast camera can go anywhere on campus and be in our NDI into our switch, so we can do a master program switch with it. Now, we have some wireless technology, but our wireless technology is only good inside the room. Like once we step outside of our room, we have to go through walls. Man, that the SDI quality is gone, and if you get any picture at all. So being able to do it through the Ethernet and your network is just absolutely amazing.
Elias asks, in a church setting, how difficult is it to run SDI to ProPresenter for sanctuary projectors? I'm trying to think of how to run SDI to ProPresenter for sanctuary projectors.
Well, SDI has the SDI, ProPresenter has the SDI module.
SDI / NDI module now.
Yeah, now. So you would have to have an SDI card out of your computer. If that's what you meant. I'm assuming, I'm just going to go by what you wrote there. If that's what you meant, you would just need an SDI card output, and then make sure you have an SDI card in the projector, and then run your line. Right. And that's how you would get SDI out of your ProPresenter to your projector. The most basic way. If anybody else wants to, he means NDI, Ryan said. Okay, so even better question. So, the way Renewed Vision has set it up right now, and I sent them a fairly, tried to contain myself, but so not heated, but concerned consumer.
Of course.
Because we're Renewed Vision consumers. And we want the NDI to be a better output than it is from ProPresenter, but it works. Don't get me wrong, but you have to buy the SDI module to make the NDI work. So we call it the SDI NDI module. Does Renewed Vision call it that yet?
Let's go check their. I think they do.
We told them, we're like, man, it's not clear, and because last summer we filled a lot of questions on that.
Find the modules. Where are all there's modules?
Let's bring
you can
you up.
There it is. Yeah, see when you go here on their page, you see the modules, and then right here SDI.
Yeah.
You click on SDI and you go down, and you'll see then it says
SDI
NDI.
So it's not super clear the way they present it, but at least they've added it here because they didn't before.
They also call it network digital. It's network device interface.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's all right. You know, everybody's learning.
And
so
you can see here,
even the companies.
And you can't, and it is combined. You have to get them together. It is just the modules.
Let's share what we just learned about a month ago. With
so last
ProPresenter.
All right, let me say this: we had a team come in from it was Jared Latimer's team last summer, and we started we used their ProPresenter, brought it into our TriCaster, and we tested NDI. It might have been the first time we tested it actually, and it worked great. And they were sending us lower thirds that were keyed out. It was great, man. We couldn't be happier. So we got the NDI module, and we've been using that for our videos we're playing in chapel, etc. So then I said, well, let me try to send a signal with an alpha layer.
Okay.
And it wasn't working. I was getting black instead of my alpha layer, or my not a key really.
So the way you send your alpha layer was only through the SDI module.
Correct, just that.
And it takes 2 channels. You have to have your presentation channel,
right,
and you have to have your alpha layer channel, and then you have to mix them once they get into the switch.
Right.
That's a big ordeal. NDI takes care of it. One caveat. Go ahead, James.
So NDI was great. It was one. It only took up one input on my TriCaster. It was there and it had the alpha. I tried to bring it in. It's not working. I do some research. I have the NDI module. Why am I not getting my alpha layer? Well, I have to buy the alpha key module, which is a separate module, and that one runs a cool $999.
$1,000. So $1,000 to get the alpha. They know what's important.
Yeah.
Obviously,
so you can get the NDI, which we do use, and it does no alpha, but it does send so it's great for video playback or
no alpha from ProPresenter.
No alpha from ProPresenter, right? So you get the
unless
video
you buy the alpha module, an alpha key module.
Buy that, you're fine.
That's $1,000. So it's going to be a $1,100 investment if you did it today. $1,000 for the SDI module.
Which
$100 for the SDI module, $1,000 for the alpha key module, and then now you can get a single layer alpha key from ProPresenter.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. If you got the money, I say do it. But alpha's in our production world, alpha channeling is crucial.
It's key.
Yeah, it's key.
And here's the thing: we use NDI with like Premiere Pro, and from Premiere Pro you can use that NDI, and that sends the alpha layer built in. I mean, NDI, when they designed the protocol, it was built to handle the alpha layer.
That's something we haven't even talked about.
Which is, and that's something, so it's not like it's like a lot of work. It's built in NDI. It's not like they have to build their own proprietary software, hence the need for an added expense, 10 times the cost of an NDI module. This is them hanging on, which, as James Anderson said, they seem dug in the sand on the alpha key module. Yeah, they are. They're very much... They want to sell.
I sent some hate mail, but
I don't know. I don't know how their business model works, but I think they have to change it because it's just so much money to get.
Pro 7. I don't think they're moving on it because it is such a big deal in high-end production. You got to have it.
Yeah.
And there are workarounds, but not for ProPresenter. But we could show you different little workarounds and other software. But we didn't even talk about Adobe NDI?
Adobe, it's in the NDI tools. So when you go on the newtek.com/NDI, you click the NDI tools. I put the link in here earlier in the chat.
It's free.
It's free, and it comes in both the Mac and the PC.
Yeah.
Just from NewTek. You don't even have to go to Sienna, but just from NewTek, you get those NDI tools built in. So when you install it, it automatically installs it into your Premiere Pro and After Effects if you have those installed on your machine already. So make sure you have those installed. Then run tools, and then in your preferences in Adobe Premiere Pro, After Effects, if you go in the preferences, you'll see under like playback. It's different per app, but playback. We'll give you some options for audio and video, etc., NDI output. So and we do use that. It's really good for monitoring. If I'm across campus, sometimes I'll go, hey, I'll call Jeremy, who's working right now on Creative Cloud, and I'll go, hey, show me what this looks like. All right, good.
A lot of show me's going on. If I'm in the, if I'm mixing a song
in
and
the recording studio,
I need to see a clip, and he's got all the clips on on his timelines that he's working on, and he can do me a favor by not making me scrub through an hour's worth of footage. He could just send it to me via the output.
And
I just
so he'll just play it on
use
his
the monitor to bring it in.
He just plays it on his timeline in Premiere Pro. There's no
and it gives me full screen out.
Yeah, full screen. So he doesn't have to do a lot in Premiere Pro. He just scrubs through, finds it. Is this it? And John has Video Monitor, the free tool from NDI Tools is free, or Studio Monitor now. And so your Studio Monitor, he can view it right there live as Jeremy is scrubbing through with his playhead, which is about as simple, I think, as you can make that work. I don't know that you can make it any simpler other than just watch it.
The other thing is, so you kind of let in with the whole Alpha Key and Premiere, but really now that we set the Adobe has NDI outputs from their programs, so full screen outputs, that's important.
Right.
Premiere translates its Alpha Key in the NDI for free.
Yeah.
So it's a total business move by Renewed Vision, to hold us hostage. Hey man, I'm not hating anybody that wants to do business. But what I'm saying is, we know it can be done really easy, really cheap, because Adobe gave it to us for free. And James found out a couple of weeks ago with the new Premiere, and we haven't really run the test on this, so we're just kind of leaking the information. Maybe you want to do it, but After Effects does not have the Alpha Key out.
Correct.
But now with the new, there's a new patching. The way
it's called Essential Graphics. If you guys know about it, please comment, because I'm learning more about it even now. So Essential Graphics.
Essential Graphics, communicating with Premiere, and then you run it through Premiere, and now you kind of get this shortcut. I don't know if it's a shortcut, but it's a way around After Effects not sending the Alpha Key. So now you can get the Alpha. And this actually came about because of some things we wanted to do in production, and have the ability to do high-end graphical output without having to go to VisArt or some of these extremely expensive machines. Can we create our own Alpha Key out for high-end graphics that we can edit in real time?
And can we use Premiere Pro as our playback engine?
Yes, right.
That was really kind of the thing. What if we could? I mean, we got NDI. I mean, let's at least push the boundaries on it.
Man. And so the creativity, man, NDI is causing superior creativity moments for us. And it's we don't have enough time in the day to actually research all of our ideas right away, but it'd be awesome if you guys could and would, and then get back with us on how it works for you. Like it was cool. Michael Sanders did a post on something he was working on, and just things that we would like to do, but we don't have, and we don't have the time. We don't have the product, and we don't have the time. So good to see someone else working on some new innovative type workarounds for their systems. Man, I started all that by saying, okay, here's the challenges on NDI output.
Yeah. I will add this, so if you are using even the alpha or not alpha, our NDI from ProPresenter is working great. I haven't had any issues. ProPresenter is working fine. Never had no stability issues with ProPresenter using the NDI module. So if you, here's a great case for it. People who are doing a mobile church, if you're having to physically run that cable from ProPresenter to your Blackmagic switch or something, just having the network set up, you probably already have it, saves you a cable right there for setup. And man, I've really enjoyed it. Last couple months I've been using it.
Yeah.
And it's amazing too that it works so well. I mean,
here's another thing is that I wish they would, on like our iPads, iPhones or something, give us the studio monitoring ability. Okay,
so this is a great point. So I've wanted this feature because if I want to test a camera, I want to see, is it getting back to my TriCaster? It'd be great if I had studio monitor and I know. So one of the things, so there are a couple of tools available. They cost various amounts of money. One is that Sienna has a tool that takes NDI inputs and makes them available on your local network through a URL. So you could go to localhost :3000 or the port, whatever. And if you go there, you will then see that just a full screen video. You hit the play button, and there you are. You're watching Studio Monitor. So man, that would be so cool. Okay,
keep talking.
So that's currently the best way I know to view it on an iPad. You basically go to your Safari web browser and view it through there using one of their tools, which does cost. I haven't found a free way to do it yet.
Yeah,
but I feel like it's going to be free at some point. It's just.
But here's another way that actually was kind of a cheap way, and it came to us in a different way. So I wanted a way to remotely control my TriCaster, and Sienna built this. One of their developers built this interface, and it's monitoring the outputs, or whatever you tell it to, really, and then you can change those through this interface. It's really, really cool, but I only point this out to know, hey guys, we know you can do it. It's not like you can't do it.
Absolutely.
Because I got it right here. It's just in a different product, and I don't know what they're waiting on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's even Sienna. I don't know why wouldn't Sienna release.
Yeah, I'm looking at their whatever they call
iPhone, iPad, at least monitoring solution. We know they can convert because they convert the camera. Why wouldn't they give us a scan converter app as well?
This is what Sienna has right now. It's this called NDI WebLink, and it's a bridge between NDI and HTML web browsers. Each NDI source is made available as a video feed to your web browsers. Then you go on there, and again, since they are Mac heavy, it's a Mac. It's a Mac app, and then you say you can view it on an iPhone. You can see some of the photos.
So they're essentially using the infrastructure they're building for the wide area networking, and this is kind of the entry level of that.
Yeah. And it's kind of neat, the WebLink includes the embedded NDI HX support, so you don't need any special driver installation,
And ultimately, this is how I think it's, in 3 years we're going to be talking about this. It's all server-based, and we're logging in. We're handshaking with the server instead of the actual device nodes.
Ryan, you said you played with that. Was that the NDI WebLink that I just showed? I'm guessing that's what you mean. He said he played with that, but our network couldn't keep up.
Yeah, and that is going to be right now. That's why I say it's still kind of beta, even though they took the word beta off. We know we can.
Yeah.
I've created a handshake for about 3 minutes of solid, good video, but the layer 3 part of the traffic is creating collisions. So even though you can maintain a solid handshake between the devices, the nodes, the actual packetting seems to get it's not lossless, put it that way. So you begin to see breakup, and that's what's got to really get refined, and they're getting close. It's getting better and better. Now obviously you could do some dark fiber and exterminate the layer 3 traffic and create a fairly lossless, I mean almost perfectly lossless format, because you're underneath the layer 3 traffic, and therefore you don't have packet lossing. So that's the big thing now. Your handshake, wherever you are in the world, is easy. That's the easy part now. Now that they've got it figured out. It's kind of server to server, and then it creates peer-to-peer. But so the servers handshake the two of you, right? They bridge it. And then you still have to send the video stream. So when it goes into the public IP kingdom, there's so much traffic that it has to work around, you're getting packet loss. And we're talking about large file packet lossing, not small 64K pack. Even that's fairly large, but 64K packet lossing, you know, it really wouldn't matter if you were losing that. But when you start losing, you know, 20 meg packet lossing, well, you're going to see the video suffer.
Right. Let's see here.
Anything else? What have we covered? It's
No,
good
we
to
haven't
finally
covered
kinda-
everything.
I mean, have we
I think we covered most
like
of
the basics, like all the free stuff?
See if I can open.
ISO quarter, man, is your friend. I do think it costs. You can get one that's a one-off that's pretty cheap, or you can get the one that's just a little more expensive. It's not bad. It's price, and it can do up to 4 ISOs on one computer. That's a really cool feature. We have the Telestrator.
Oh man,
I
that
tell you,
was
my
really
favorite out of all, and this is on the paid side, is Transmit.
yeah.
And I can interrupt my camera on my computer and put all my NDI nodes. So if I'm Skyping back and forth to you, and we're in a Hangout, Google Hangouts, or a Skype, or a Facebook video call, I can allow you to see any node on my my NDI infrastructure. So that is just super cool. When you're trying to do television shows that you're Skyping in people, it's really cool to send back a program view, so they're or whatever you want them to see. So if you have something on another computer and you just don't want them to see you from your webcam, you can interrupt that and send whatever graphical material, content, anything like that, you can send. So NDI Transmit, it's worth every penny.
Yeah,
I love it.
We've used that many times in the.
Well, in our
few months
technically
we've had it.
speaking shows, we use it to bring in our guests, because most of the time we Skype in or hang out in.
And then we're able to
guest.
send them the TriCaster feed. So if we're bringing up something.
Yeah, so whenever the
they can
live
see
switch
it too.
goes to a graphic content, you know, they see it immediately. They're not just seeing me through that goofy webcam.
Right.
So that's a great tool
Yeah. We love
if you're doing that kind of production, of course.
Or even for this kind of thing, if we're bringing in someone that we can send them our TriCaster
you gotta think
feed.
about-
I can then send them. I can show him our replay footage if I wanted to, and then if they are on Skype, they can just it's their that's what they'll see us, and we control that. It's really powerful.
I might can do it if somebody wanted to call me on Facebook. I could probably give you a demo of how that works, because I have Transit on this computer. So if you wanted to see it, that's really cool.
Well,
I'm going to change this.
just gonna go and test it on that
What else?
laptop.
Anybody want to talk about anything else? It's
Yeah.
Friday, man.
It's the weekend. Time to get ready for church on Sunday, right?
Yep.
Man. Let's see here. Looking if I missed any comments. I am really curious about that web link. That seems really cool. So on Ciena's NDI tools, there is I just tested it. There's an option that says copy NDI URL, and I went, copy NDI URL. Well, that sounds like web link. It's not quite web link. It copies a URL to launch the NDI monitor, and then have that source ready for you. So kind of like if you send someone just a URL and they click on it, it opens up Chrome and then goes to the website. It sends the link, it opens up NDI monitor, goes to that node on your network.
Let me make sure I'm on the right network.
See here. Yeah. See, there we are. It's a little frozen. Nope, jump back in.
Nobody wants to
So
call
cool.
me.
Ryan wants to know when he can come out and check out our setup.
Oh yeah, Ryan, I'm working on that date, man. Here's the other thing. It would mean you wait a little bit longer, but which you don't have to. He was asking about, I think, 20 and 21, March 2021.
Yeah, it's like after spring break, I think.
No, it's right before, I think.
Oh, it was before?
It
No,
might
before,
be
that's
of.
next week, yeah.
Might be the week of.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't be bad, actually, if it was spring break. Then that would be a good
Be
week.
after.
I'll confirm it for you soon, buddy. But we're also on May 1st. If you're in the DFW area, you got to come out to a little thing that we're doing that day that Allen and Heath are bringing their D-Live products and their new SQ. I'm not up on their model numbers yet, but they're bringing their digital consoles from the big down to their small. And Community is coming out with a new line array. So we want to test all those things.
Yeah. Is it this guy right here? This one?
Yeah.
SQ?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And they said it was perfectly fine to have, up to 50 people come out and hang out with them. They'll have their engineers here and their reps. If you want to be a part of that, just let me know. Comment or message me, and we'll put you in. Those guys are going to provide a little bit of, like food and drink during the day. And you'll get to just put your hands on it. We also have our Digico stuff up. So I saw Ryan. Ryan made he helped a guy understand that Allen and Heath and Digico had the same parents or grandparents, and so there's a lot of technology sharing that was going on.
Yeah.
But I don't know if the Allen and Heath guys want me to do a direct comparison through the They're bringing out the new Community line array, but we could hook up the SD10 and do a D-Live and S10 type comparison.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
That'll be fun.
Not too often you can get those sitting next to each
and,
other.
And if you guys want to come and just look at the campus, that's totally cool too. At that time, that would be a great kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah.
We have SD11s, SD9s, 10s, and you guys can feel free to work around with that stuff. You can look at our NDI network, how our video stuff works.
Yeah.
But there was another manufacturer that wanted to show up too, and I can't remember. Well, all the Shure products will be here.
Was the one that came to mind.
Yeah, they'll have all the Shure, Accient, Digital, ULX, all their products.
Probably just need to do a lunchtime chat just on that alone.
Yeah, we probably will. It's May 1st, so if you guys are in the area, and or Ryan, you want to just do it. That's a Tuesday, and you want to come up and hang with us in May. That's right after our graduation. That's like the first week after graduation. So we'll be
quiet down a little bit.
Yeah, man, it'll be really good. We won't have any emergency calls or anything like that that we got to handle. So that's a great time to come and visit, and anybody can if you want. I can't think of anything else. If you guys don't want to talk about anything else, then we'll just call it, we're full today. You ate twice.
Yeah. Thanks, guys, for
All right.
watching. Hit like.
Just keep
make sure it follows.
commenting on this if
yeah.
you want us to see it. I mean, my notifications are up, so I'll see it.
Hit like or follow if you want to get notified next time we're going live. Hopefully Monday, if all goes well.
Yeah.
And we try to do it 3 times a week: Monday, Wednesday, Friday, around that
yeah,
lunchtime
Wednesdays
hour.
are tough, but if we can do it, if we can do it on Wednesdays, we will. If not, but Monday, Friday seems to be the staple of what we definitely can do.
Today's show was for those on the West Coast. That's what we'll go with.
Right, or at least Rocky Mountain time.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right.
We'll see you later.